Okay, so I was following up this video with a previous video where we talked about using the MIDI outs to record, and I kind of mentioned the sample or resample loop. That does not work, and it's probably not going to work this way because it has nothing to pull from technically to be able to bring the sound back in. So the MIDI out is really just controlling whatever devices you have inside of Koala here. Give me 1 second while I get this mouse together. So that way I can, yeah, there we go. All right. So if you're going to record out of here, the best way to do it is select each one of these um, channels that you have. Now you can select the final channel here if you want. However, this is the channel I purposely use just to mix. So I'm going to leave it alone. I'm not going to really record that volume out. Excuse my voice. Part of it is I got woke up with a little. Um, I don't want to call it a cold. Maybe it's a cold, but it's like a little congestion. I'll call it. And the other part is I'm having to use my headphones mic because I'm running multiple things into the iPad at this time. So unfortunately, if it's going in and out, I apologize in advance. I'm trying to do my best to keep it as clear as possible. All right, so watch the previous video on using the MIDI out. This video I'm going to get real quick with and just show you how you can record your audio back into here. The best way to do it at this current moment in time is turn the piano roll off, set the sync quantum to however many bars you want it to be. That will be what it will record out. Now, the way it works is I would highly suggest that you name this session so that you know what it is. If you don't name it, it's going to be untitled and you probably won't know much else about it. So I just named this one Koala MIDI out just for the sake of this video. Okay, getting back to where I was talking about. Put all your channel effects that you want on the actual channel. That way you not only they have the control of it, but you also get that particular effect included into your sound that you have going on here. Of course, if you're using the same effect with the same setting, you could set up a channel that routes into each one of these, and then it will record that audio or that effect on that channel. Excuse me, I had to move away so I could clear my throat a little bit. Okay, so arm these tracks down here. After you do that, you're going to hit record once, it'll start, and then you hit record again, and then it will automatically record 16 bars, and it'll be a perfect bar, okay? I've done a video about that years ago when I first started using AUM. It's pretty simple, the way they set it up to be able to get that perfect loop. Once you get the loop, if you click File Recordings, you'll see that it exists here. Now you cannot pull these recordings straight from here and drop them into Koala. It doesn't work. You either have to get Audio Share, which costs a little bit more money if you don't already have it, and Audio Share will not let you pull directly from it and drag and drop either. So it's not really worth the time and energy unless the developer decides to let you use drag and drop. Then don't waste your time doing this. The best way to get it is go back through Koala. And Koala has an import. And if you click on the import there, so you see how you have audio, resample, and then import. Then if you click import and you click on a pad, it will bring you up to wherever you're at. You just have to get to your browser, right? And get to that particular folder. Mine is in my Koala, my audio share. So if I just go here, AUM recordings, there it is. Here they are. Hit select, and I can click on each one, and I can open them all at the same time. And when you do that, it will bring you to. So let me cancel this. I'm going to say done, and then I'm going to click this X to get out of here. It'll drop your 4 tracks right here with the number 1, 2, 3, 4 on them. You could rename them at this point. I would love to see them allow us to rename these so we know what they're linked to versus them just saying AUV output. So that's something that hopefully in the future we'll get. At this present point, it just says AUV3 output. They don't know which track it's connected to. The only way you would know is if you click on one and then you see the channel you set it up to. But that's probably not as helpful as could be. But either way, here's your track. And I'll say this, you can live perform with this and record those in. So if you want dropouts, you can press the mutes here and drop in and out parts as it's going through the recording. So you could start it and then use your hands or fingers. I'm going to use the mouse for so you can see it. And just press the mute when you want them, drop them out. Use your natural timing to get your dropouts. And you'll see if you look at this wave pretty closely, there's spots where I dropped it out. So I'm going to put this in a sequence of 16 bars. So give me 1 second while I triple or double this up again. I'm going to use my hand for a second because it is a little bit quicker. There we go. You do it once and then usually it'll, whatever your last touch was, it should give you. And now you have the 16 bars sequenced inside of here. Of course, you could send this over to Ableton or other stuff if you prefer to have the actual waveform, because at this present point, you don't have that in here. You just have bars, right? So you don't really know when the drop's coming. But I'll just play a little bit for you just so you see. One of the things to remember is just go back in and go ahead and change this back to 1 so it doesn't, you don't forget later. But here we go. So we'll just play it real quick. And we're going to stop it because it's crazy loud. So you might want to go in here and start doing some mixing. And you also probably, because I think I heard, if you go to Midi, yeah. See down here, this one I wrote, you got to turn the pad send Midi to notes. Otherwise, it'll start playing other notes. That's a little loud. I'm going to drop that down to about 6 dB, negative 6 dB. Saxophone, same thing. I'm going to drop it down about negative 6 dB. Drums, we'll drop it down to about 3. Let's see if that works for our eardrums. There we go. So you see how the drums dropped out? So I did all that live. So that was one take, right? I did, well, the horns I did in one take for sure. So I always do my solos that way, just so that it's natural and it's not sounds so overly rehearsed. But anyway, you get the point. So this is how I'm going to record if I use the iPad, and I think it's a good workflow now because I don't have. It's one less. It's actually one less step. I guess you gain a step though too, because you got to come back and import it in. If we ever get it to where you don't have to do that extra step to import it back in, and you could live record back in the parts that you have, that would be amazing. But for now, at least you don't have to worry about going to get Atom. You don't need audio share. It's a lot of apps that you can kind of cut out of the workflow, which should speed up the workflow and make it a little bit better. It is a measure a bit of setting up that has to be done. One workaround for that is you could set yourself a template. Now, this template, unlike in other devices, there's no well, there's a default template in AUM that you can save. In fact, all you have to do is save it under default, and it will pull it up. And what you could do is set up in Koala this nice default too, and maybe just call it default. I don't know. You could call it whatever you want. And AUM, make sure you name it default so every time it pulls up that, if that's what you want to do to make your workflow easier when you get in here so you don't have so much setting up to do. Because I know for a lot of people, setting up is feels like work and they don't want to record if they have to do that. When you set it up, however you save it at that present point is how it will be. So if you know that you use one shot for your drums typically and you use the shaker for it, you could put these on here and just have them ready, right? Certain instruments that you use a lot, just keep them on there. Why not? And then you don't have to go through setting all that up. You can keep it on there. Even if you don't use that track, you can still have it on there, right? You can have the arm record ready to go so that you are, good as you create. Then you can start creating your one bar here or your one sequencer here could be just for doing all the parts in there, right? For the main parts that you're going to do. And then eventually you could, once you get everything finished and sequenced the way you want it, then record out those tracks. Now, if you wanted to do your dropouts in Koala, you could do that. You could go in here and manually look at each one and go in and I can't do that, to be honest with you. It, if I was doing like maybe 2 to 4 bars, 8 bars, sure, but once you start getting past that, I think it gets a little bit ridiculous. I'd rather just do the dropouts live and by using mutes to do that. Okay, so that said, that is it for this video. I hope all is well with everyone and hope you're doing good. Stay safe. Until the next time, I'm out.